Alright, it's week 3 of lockdown and I'm pretty bored now. Pretty bad news yesterday that under level 3 we won't be able to go hunting still. So that's getting pretty frustrating. I've got a lot of plans. I'm sure heaps of other people have got plans. But we will get through it and make the most of the time. We've got to sort out our gear and stuff like that. I've been doing a bit of DIY. Redoing that set of drawers for our baby's room. Bit of a chore the wife's given me. But anyway, today I'm going to go over a knife sharpening video for you guys. It's something that I struggled with for a very long time to get the right sort of edge on a knife. I've tried all sorts of sharpeners, those what are they, Lansky sharpeners or whatever they are, on the angle with the different stones and that you can run on them, and I've never had any luck with that. So I'm using an oil stone now, and I will show you guys how I do that, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you guys. And yeah, get into it. So we're just going to talk a bit about angles on sharpening knives. It's supposed to be somewhere between like 17 and 25 degrees depending on the knife's purpose and what you're using it for. So for a skinning knife, for instance, you wouldn't have as a severe angle on it. You'd go towards the lower end, the 17 degrees, rather than the 20 degrees or whatever it is, because it doesn't need to be as strong an edge. And you can use it, obviously you're not using it for hacking through bone, you're skinning with it, so you want it to be sharper, and that you're not as worried about the edge curling over as you would be on a knife, say that you're going to be going through the joints on an animal. So you, depending on what application you're using it for, so I sharpen my kitchen knives at a obviously a slighter angle, because we're just cutting up veggies and meat, we're not, you know, hacking through anything too hard. So I don't have any sort of a guide system, I don't know, use a protractor or something. I just sort of feel it out depending on which knife I'm sharpening. So I'll show you how I go through sharpening, and yeah, see how it goes. Okay, so here is my, oh jeez, it's dark. That's better. Okay, so here is one of my, this is the knife I carry on my belt. It's a sword knife. It's sort of a mixture of a skinner and a bit of a boning knife, and I struggled to get a good edge on it for quite a while, but using an oil stone is what I've found to be the best way to sharpen my knives. And then I've also, my latest knife is this Mercator or Mercator, however you guys say it. It's both these blades are carbon steel, so they rust. As you can see, there's staining on the blades, but I'm not too worried about that as long as the edge is sharp. But so depending on the knife, so I have quite a bit of a steeper angle on this, and this knife here, I also have, I don't know, to be honest, I just sort of feel it out as I go. There's not too much science behind it for me. So first thing we need is some oil. So I just use gun oil on mine, like I said earlier. Now this stone here has got two sides to it. It's got a rough side and a smooth side. Now that rough side only needs to be used when you've got big nicks in your blade, or you're bringing your blade back from when it was really bad or whatever. So I just put a good bit of oil down. Then I grab my knife and I sort of go to the angle that I want it to be sharpened at, and then I apply a bit of downward pressure, because you remember you're applying, you're trying to take away steel using a stone, so you have to use a bit of pressure, not too much though. And I just bring it across, and then I curve it with the curve of the blade, right? So then I bring it now on the other side, same sort of angle, try and keep my fingers in keeping even pressure on the blade, and I bring it back once again, curving with the profile of the blade, alright? So now I'll just keep doing that. I keep a track of how many lefts and rights I do in my head, and then as I go I'll sort of do like 5 each side or 10 each side, depending on how blunt it is at the time, and then I'll wipe it clean, and I sort of have a bit of a how sharp is it test, and then depending on how it feels, I will then move on to the next step. So same sort of deal with this little knife. It's obviously a straighter cut, the profile of the blade, so I don't have to worry about curving it so much, which makes it easier. This blade is awesome, actually. This is a really good knife. I recommend it. So using an oil stone takes a lot of practice. I've spent hours, and my wife can attest to this because she hates the noise of the steel on the stone. I'll be sitting there while she's watching a movie or whatever, and I'll just be going on with my knives, just trying to sharpen them, get them up to a good edge. The key is don't accept substandard with sharpening your knives. It's something you use all the time when you're hunting, so make sure they're sharp. You don't want to be hacking away and losing meat or putting holes in a cape of, a trophy bull or a trophy stag that you've just shot. So make sure you get your knives nice and sharp. So once I'm done with the stone, what it's done is it's made a really sharp edge. It's got a really nice edge on it. But if you look at a blade, I know this because I've looked on YouTube about it. If you look at a blade, the edge of the bevel on it, if you look at it under a microscope, once you're finished on a stone, it still is really quite rough. It's sort of quite jagged on the edge, but on a microscopic level. So what we do then is we strop the blade. I'll show you that now. Okay, so you need a piece of leather. Now you can actually buy proper strops online, and I don't know if you've got access to a nice bit of leather. A lot of people have. I don't, so I just use the back of my belt, the rough side, I suppose, and I'll show you what I do there. So I pin one edge down on the ground. I take my knife and I run it down like so, up like so, down, up. So it's pretty much exactly what you see an old school barber doing in the shop. You're not running your knife along it like with the stone. You're not going towards the blade, you're going away. And what you're doing essentially is folding over that jagged edge that I talked about earlier, that really fine jagged edge. You're folding it over, and what you're doing is you're actually like polishing the bevel that right on the edge of the blade. You're polishing it over, and you want it turns into like a mirror finish. And what it does is it creates a stronger tip to the blade so that it stays sharper longer. So you just run your knife up and down that bit of leather for, I don't know, however many times you do, and honestly I've never had sharper knives doing it this way when I've done it other ways. This is the best way to sharpen knives that I've found for myself. Everybody obviously does things differently, but an oil stone, or whetstone as some people call it, is definitely the best way that I've found to sharpen my knives. And I can shave with all my knives, not my face, but I can shave all my arm hairs off. Gross. I just clean up all that hair or Amber will not be happy. So that's how I sharpen my knives. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you guys have got any other ways that you sharpen knives that you found it better. Yeah, so we're all pretty frustrated with this lockdown, but just, keep positive, and we'll be out hunting before you know it. And when you all do go back hunting, be safe, because it's going to be every man and his dog out there trying to get out to fix that hunting itch. So wear your hivers and be safe. Try and pick areas where nobody else is going to be. Anyway, like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Go watch my other videos, and yeah, stay safe, and thanks for watching.